You're listening to episode 155 of the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman. Hi and welcome to this episode of the Small and Supercharged podcast with me, Ria Freeman, and it is a solo episode. So today we're going to talk about a subject which I have heard so many people say over the last, honestly it's probably the last few months, and it's just that they've lost their mojo with various different things that they do in life. But the one that I'm going to talk about today is how to get your social media mojo back. Because obviously I do a lot around social media, PR marketing and growing your business. So for me, social media is quite a big one and one that I've heard a lot of people talk about. So I wanted to give some tips. I've got quite a few tips to help you feel a bit more inspired about social media again. Because I think a lot of people, genuinely, I know a lot of people are feeling just a bit exhausted, and not necessarily physically exhausted, but I really do think, and I know I say this to a lot of people if you join me on any lives or if you're in any of my groups, there's a general feeling of a kind of fatigue about the situation we're in, about the pandemic, about various lockdowns, about restrictions, about how long it's gone on for. As I'm recording this, it's actually the end of April and I have just been for a walk and got sleeted on. So even the weather's not pulling in our direction at the moment. So I do feel, and I have seen so much of it, this general just exhaustion, a bit fed up. And you're not alone if you're feeling like that, okay? You're far from alone if you're feeling like that. I see it every day in different places, on different social medias, accounts, with different people, with people outside the industry, with, it's just a really widespread thing. So hopefully these tips are going to help you. But the first tip is to give yourself a flipping break. And I really do mean this. Over a year, how crazy is that? Over a year has just been straight up mad. It just really has. And from having, obviously if you're a countryside person, having all the big horse shows and countryside shows cancelled, and obviously if you're not a country person, still having fetes, gatherings, weddings, everything cancelled over the last year and feeling kind of powerless to do anything about it. That's a big deal. That is a big thing to deal with. Not being able to see your friends, not being able to not even have the children go to school, not being able to go to work normally. All these things have just been absolutely crazy. And it's been a prolonged period of not quite knowing what's coming next. And I feel it. I've seen so many people have felt this. So the first thing is to give yourself a break. It is hardly surprising if you have lost your mojo for social media a bit. I think as well because of the pandemic and because we have been unable to do so many of the things that we usually do, go out and see friends, go to events, go shopping, all the things that before we really took for granted, at least I know I did. We've been spending more time on social media because at least then we still get to see things and, experience things differently. But that can then lead us to spending too much time on social, which can kind of add to an overall feeling of just, again, the fatigue with it all. I think that's the right word. So the first thing I want to say is give yourself a break. You are not alone. And the fact that you have essentially got through a global pandemic is incredible and should be absolutely celebrated. So if you've gone off your social media game a bit, you'll get it back. And hopefully these tips will help you. So first of all, give yourself a break. And I really do mean that. The second thing is to think about why you've gone off your social media game. Why have you fallen out of love with it a bit? And it could be because of the things I've talked about, because of the general fatigue, because there's been an increased reliance on social media to have those connections. There's a thing about Zoom fatigue or, video call fatigue, because it is it's a different experience speaking on a Zoom to people, or, you know, I give quite a lot of webinars via Zoom. That is completely different to going somewhere and lecturing for a few hours. It's just a completely different experience. You don't get to move around. There's some days when, I know this is bad, but I genuinely barely move out of my office seat because I've got call after call after call after call, or I've got a long webinar, then a call, then a, you know, and normally if I was giving a lecture, I tend to walk around a lot. I'm usually moving most of the time just because I am. So it's a different experience. It's also, you know, you can read people's expressions if you're in the room. You have a bit of banter because you can pick up on their body language or on their facial expressions, whereas you can't do that on the Zoom, especially if you've got the cameras turned off. It's really tricky. So think about why you're feeling like this. Is it because you have been on social media a huge amount over the last year? Is it because you're just sick that you can't go out and you're looking at things and you're thinking, I wish I was there? What is it? Because that can then lead you on to how you reduce those things. So if I'm sure I did a podcast on why it's okay to kind of unfollow, snooze and mute people. But I would say that if you're feeling negative towards social because of how it makes you feel in terms of how you're taking on and processing what you're consuming, I would have a good look at who you're following. Now, as I've said lots of times before, sometimes we unfollow, we mute, we snooze, we whatever, depending on what platform you're on, people. And it's not because of them, it's because of us. So, for example, there's a huge amount online, a huge amount from different people, and this isn't horsey, but it's an example I think is a really solid one, from people who are, for example, trying to conceive, or they have got infertility issues. And obviously that is, you know, very sad for them, and they're dealing with it in their own way. But being bombarded with people saying, well, who I'm pregnant, is potentially like them being kicked whilst they're down. Now, it's not the fault of the person who's pregnant for being excited they're pregnant, far from it, good for them. And nor is it the fault of the other person for feeling sad and it making them feel worse. I've given this example because I want to show that we don't always have to snooze, mute, unfollow people because anyone is in the wrong. It can just be the position that we are in makes us feel like that. Going back to a horsey example, for example, if your horse is injured and you were really excited to get out and compete, you may see pictures of people competing and having an amazing time and loving every second, and it makes you feel bad. Now, they should be sharing the things that bring them joy. That's what social's about. That's what's great about social. But for you, it could just be an absolute kick in the guts whilst you're down. And you don't need to see that. So have a look at who you're following. Have a look at who you are engaging with. And think about which accounts bring you joy and which one makes you feel heavy. Which ones, I should say, make you feel heavy or less than, or like you're not living up to what you should be. And all of the things, all these negative emotions, and consider muting, snoozing, unfollowing if it's a page on Facebook, for example. The great thing with the mute on Instagram is that that person does not know you have muted them. So unlike an unfollow being a bit of a slap in the face, because let's be frank, it can be. Although if you want to go there, absolutely go there. But what I'm trying to say is that if it's because you're just looking and going, no, I barely leave the house, seeing people go out and enjoy things, and seeing people go out and meet up with their friends makes me anxious. Snooze. Snooze on Facebook. Again, I think they're snooze for 30 days, or you can snooze for longer, or you can unfollow them so you don't see their posts in your feed, but you are still connected. So there are options there that you can use. Muting on Instagram, you can mute stories and or feed posts. So again, if you're looking at something and it's just making you feel a bit rubbish, do it. I would absolutely advise doing it. Again, to be perfectly honest, there are people that I've snoozed, muted and unfollowed. And sometimes it is because I just don't like what they're saying. I think they're wrong and it annoys me. And other times I just feel like what they're saying is not adding anything to what I'm doing. And selfishly, that's really important to me. So I snooze, mute, unfollow, whatever I need to do. And it might even be something, again, thinking about the last year, that people are doing activities, they're going out and meeting up with people, they're doing things that you just feel, you either feel that it's not correct, like it's not in accordance with the rules. And again, I think because so many of us have been really persevering with this and trying to follow every rule we can for the last year, that can feel very uncomfortable and quite frustrating, quite upsetting. So that's one thing. Of course, we have to take into account that camera angles can make people appear much closer than they are, etc., etc. But that can be one reason. That can be something that just makes you feel really weird and you're not good with it. Or it could be people undertaking activities which are completely allowed, but make you feel anxious, that make you feel worried, that make you really take a step back. Because again, I've seen a lot of things on social where half of the people are like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to go out, drinks in the beer garden, drinks in the pub, this, that and the other. And another load of people, I don't know whether it's half and half, are kind of going, I don't think I want people within 3 metres of me, because for the last year we've been told not to get within 2 metres of anyone for fear of catching a virus that can be potentially fatal. So again, it's not surprising, is it? So again, get the mutes, get the unfollows, get the snoozes going. You don't have to tell anyone. It's your secret. And if it helps you, brilliant. But I would have a bit of a kind of audit. It doesn't have to be something you take hours over, but when you're scrolling through your social, if you see a post that makes you feel heavy, makes your kind of shoulders and head drop, makes you feel any emotion or any even a bodily feeling that you're not good with, consider pressing those buttons, the mute, the snooze. It makes a massive difference. So think about why you don't want to be on social, and if there's something that you can do like this to help, amazing, brilliant. It can really, really help. I'd also then put a bit of effort into following more positive people, more positive accounts. Obviously, you're very welcome if you would like to come and follow me. I'm at Ria Freeman PR over on Instagram, or just Ria Freeman PR still actually on Facebook. But look out positive accounts. And how can you find these? Look at the stories of the people that you follow and you want to keep following and see who they're sharing. And also do a bit of work looking at relevant hashtags. So if you want to be inspired, motivated, uplifted, look for like hashtag inspiration. It's a big hashtag. A lot of people use it and not all posts will be relevant. Obviously, I've got this, well, not I, the Small and Supercharged hashtag exists, the Small and Supercharged Sunday hashtag exists, and they're people who are generally connected to the group, either the free group or the paid for group, who use that hashtag, so you're kind of hanging out with like-minded people. Think about those hashtags that are relevant for the things that you love, things that you enjoy, and things that bring you joy. Maybe it is spring flowers, lambs, whatever it is. Find out those hashtags and start following some accounts that really make you feel how you want to feel. They bring you joy when you see them, or you learn something, or it works for you. Follow those hashtags, look up those hashtags, and start making your feed the place that you want it to be. You don't have to justify yourself to anyone about what your feed looks like and who you engage with and who you follow. So think about that. Think about how to make it the best place possible, because it is your place and you're allowed to make your place exactly how you like. Have a think about why you use it. Why do you use social? So if you're a business or a brand, the chances are that you're using social media because it is a free and highly effective way to reach your target audience. That's a really good reason. In the olden times, back in the days before social media, if you wanted to reach your target audience, if you wanted to promote your product to people that weren't already your customer, you would have to work with the printed media. That would be your only real route. That would cost you money if you wanted to be guaranteed that you'd be featured. And it was a completely different experience. Whereas now you have got the potential to reach your target audience whenever you want by posting on your social media. So even though it can feel like a drag sometimes, the opportunities that social media provides us, whether it's through organic posting or whether it is even through ads and paid for services, is incredible. If you're an influencer, or if you just want to be someone who shares your, well, influencer, everyone's an influencer. If you want to be someone who just shares your journey, whatever journey you're on, whether you are working with your horse, you're buying and renovating a new house, you're having your first child, you're getting a puppy, whatever it is, and you just want to share your journey. Again, how would you do this before social media? You'd have probably had to get a blog, have a blog, which again is actually a really solid idea for now too. But the blog would have been really your only kind of platform. You'd obviously used your search engine optimization skills to optimize your blog posts to help Google find them for you, help Google match them with people looking for the relevant subjects. And you would maybe promote it through other people's websites, a bit of guest blogging. But again, the journey was harder. Whereas now with social, you can set up Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok, whatever, and reach people who are interested in what you're talking about, who can be your cheerleaders, who can follow along with you, who can give advice and hints and tips as you go if you want them to, for free, with relative ease. You know, the hashtag function on so many of these platforms is a great way to find these like-minded people, to find new like-minded people outside your current circle, from people searching for and discovering you through these hashtags. Before, you wouldn't have had this option. And I don't mean this to sound harsh, but if you can kind of take it back to, why do you use it? Why do you use social? Why did you set up your accounts in the first place? That can also be quite a good reminder about why we're there. Why are you there doing this stuff? And then the next step is, what positives has social media provided for you? Has it allowed you to grow your brand for no additional cost? Has it allowed you to find incredible people to work with who have become brand ambassadors and you sponsor them? Has it allowed you to find amazing friends who share your interests from all over the globe that you hop on a Zoom with, or pop on some other services are available, to have a good old chinwag with and catch up? Has it allowed you to learn and develop new skills because you've learned that these things exist and you've also found the people who can train you in them? What has it allowed you to do that's been positive? Because social media does get a really bad, people can be very, very negative about it, because it can be a negative place. There can be people that use social media in a way that they shouldn't be using it, that are negative, unpleasant, trolls, all sorts, and that can make you feel really like, why are you bothering? And I think it's human nature that we always focus on that negative. You know, we could have 100 positive comments and one negative one, and that one negative one will be the one that absolutely ruins our day and just churns away in our brain, making us think that we're failing at everything. And that could not be further from the truth. It really couldn't be further from the truth. And that can sometimes be, I think, what happens with social media. You know, I can remember the bad things that happen on social media more than I can remember every lovely comment. Although at the time, every lovely comment genuinely does make me smile and feel really uplifted and like I've made a difference, which I think is what we all want to do, really. But it's the negative ones. It's the, you know, I mean, I've mentioned before, I've had a couple of trolls. I had death threats, only once. But they're the things that I can remember in really clear detail. Whereas just before I pressed record on this, we're just working on the Small and Supercharged Spring Showcase. It's going on this week. And I had the loveliest message from someone, if you're listening, thank you, who said they are really loving the Spring Showcase because it's allowing them to get to know the people behind the brands and feel a much more personal connection to them. Now, that was the whole objective of the Spring Showcase. That was the whole point, for me to be able to share amazing members of the mastermind group with everybody, because I think they're incredible. I know what they do is incredible. And being able to let you in on that and get to know them a bit better fills me with joy. Having that lovely interaction and having them say, because the way that they work, they don't really interact with people to kind of chat about amazing new things they've discovered or cool things they've just bought. It really matters. and how in fact they had done a huge amount of their Christmas shopping from the previous showcase we did. And that now I feel really buoyed by that, because with a couple of tech fails, it's been a slightly challenging showcase. I mean, amazing, but it hasn't been as easy as it should have been. And seeing that, hearing that, reading that really does make my day. But we tend to remember the times when we had, someone being really flipping awkward, when we put on a typo and it ruined our day. I have been there. So think about the positives that's provided. If you want to get a piece of paper and write these down, do. And think about, who did you meet because of social? What campaigns have you run because of social? What brands have you got to work with because of social, depending on who you are, obviously. There's a huge amount out there that is really, really positive. So when you have unfollowed or muted who isn't working for you, when you have gone out and found more positive accounts to follow, maybe you've even followed hashtags with positive hashtags that really work for you, engage with your people. Put the time in to engage with them. If you see a post that they've done that you think is brilliant, pop a lovely comment on. They're putting up a story that you really like, send them a DM about it. Be the one who goes out there and says, you're being amazing. I love what you've done. Doesn't your dog look well? Doesn't your horse look amazing? Oh, I'm really jealous of the way you've decorated your house. Whatever it is, be what you want to see on social. Spread that joy, engage with your people, not in a fake way, but I think we've all scrolled through and gone, oh God, her hair looks amazing. Or, oh gosh, this looks amazing. We don't always say it because we're just thinking it in our head as we scroll. Be the person that reaches out and says, wow, you're doing really well. Gosh, I love what you've done there. Be that person, because you're much more likely, it gives you a bit of a high doing that. Being nice to people makes you feel better. It just does. And also I find the more of that kind of stuff I put out, the more of it I get back, which again will help to really boost you moving forward. Put the time into engaging with your people. It matters. It really matters. It matters to them, and it will help to make your experience of using social much better again. So get that there. And then when you think about potentially feeling a bit overwhelmed about the volume of stuff you're going to have to do, the volume of content you're going to create, I cannot urge the scheduling and planning idea more. Now, this is something that I am working on a course about because it's an absolute game changer. I genuinely work with people who have come to me going, I just don't know what to do. And as we've worked through a few ideas, as we've worked through systems and plans, they have then got themselves scheduled, months in advance. And that's the absolute God's honest truth. And with each bit that you schedule, even if you just schedule some of your content, or you've got a plan for most of it, it's an absolute game changer. So think about how you can make it work for you. Are you happy to try scheduling? There are loads of free tools available. I know I've mentioned Later on more than one occasion, possibly anytime anyone mentions scheduling, but Later is brilliant. There is a free option there too. Creator Studio is really good if you're looking to schedule on Facebook or Instagram. But I mean, I'm a massive fan of Later. I use it a lot. I recommend it a lot. But there are lots of ones. There are free ones. There are paid for ones. Even if you just schedule some of your posts, it will help to reduce that stress of you thinking, oh no, what I've got to post today. And if you do a bit of planning, it's going to stop you thinking, oh no, what am I going to write about today? Thinking about what makes your business and when you're going to post about that in a rotation can really reduce the stress. So think about scheduling, think about planning, and then use that time to engage. Engagement is the absolute secret to social. Yes, you need to be putting your posts out there and you need to be sharing what you do and talking about what makes you tick. But putting that time into engaging with your audience and engaging with the comments that people put on your content, amazing, absolutely next level. So have a think about that. And the thing is as well, my last point, which is I think really important, and I do it, don't over stress about everything. The fact that you're showing up is massive. If you have got an image and you're looking at it on your Instagram grid and the colour's not quite right, crack on. I have agonised over images that have got too much of the wrong colour in. Nobody cares. No one cares. It's nice to have a grid that you look at and you go, oh, it all looks like it lives together. And if you can do that and that brings you joy, amazing. Go for it. Own it. Amazing. But if it just causes you stress, don't worry about it. The chances of people looking at your grid overall, I don't think people do it as much as we think they do. I've been looking at quite a few grids over the last probably few weeks, and I've seen such a variation. So if you look at mine, you'll probably see that most of the colours are greens and burgundies, because I'm either in a field or I'm wearing burgundy, and my brand colour's burgundy. Well, my brand colours are burgundy and like a kind of sagey green colour. But then I've seen a few accounts, big accounts, where the colours are not at all cohesive. They're probably around a similar tone, like they're all probably like neons, or they're all slightly deeper colours, but they use different fonts. They kind of break all of the rules that you would have. And I think if you can stick with the rules and the rules make you happy, amazing. But we sweat so much over this small stuff. Have we got that exactly right? Now, when I do social media critiques, I'm kind of looking for these things. I'm the one that kind of says, oh, if you just adjusted that so the text was in a bit, it would look better. Have you thought about making sure this is your brand colour, etc., etc.? But if it's the difference between you not posting or not showing up because you're not quite sure if there's too much yellow in that picture, or you not showing up at all, post the yellow picture. Post it. Don't stress. We put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect, and nobody's perfect. No one is perfect at all. If you have a post with a typo in, you can correct it. If it's a graphic, it's flipping annoying. I had that a few months ago, and I was really cross with myself because I was so worried about one of the words on there that I didn't clock another one. It happens. We are only human. We can do our best, and it's good to do your best. It's good to do that triple check, which I did. Check that text, but accept that you're only human. And the great thing is with all of these platforms is you can delete it and do it again. But do your best. Don't stress out on being perfect, because no one's perfect. They're really, really not. And making yourself, really pushing yourself and going, oh, I have to be, it's just not going to help you. So I hope that has helped you. I hope the overall podcast has helped you to feel a bit more excited or positive about social media. And if you have lost your social media mojo, I think so many people have. So don't beat yourself up, and don't think, oh, I haven't done this, I can't go back. You can. People notice what we do. Like if we're off for a little bit, you don't have to make a big thing about, oh, I'm so sorry I abandoned you for 3 days. Oh, you must think I'm awful. People probably haven't noticed as much as we think. Some people will have, absolutely. But again, thinking, oh gosh, how do I start again? What do I say to apologise? Just crack on. Just post it. Just crack on. You don't need to apologise. You don't need to do any of that. Just go for it. Just go for it. I hope that's helped you. Please do screenshot and share to stories if you have tuned in. Let me know what you think. If you want to send me a DM, letting me know if you've lost your social media mojo, or even if any of these tips have helped you get it back. That would be incredible. And as I mentioned in the podcast, if you are looking to kind of take your social, your PR, your marketing and your business really to the next level, do consider the Small and Supercharged Mastermind group. This is my membership group, and we do things like the spring showcase, Christmas market, all of these things. But if you want to hop over, each month we have weekly lives, we have marketing masterclasses, mindset masterclasses, we have training on different social media platforms, opportunities, all sorts. And you can find that at riafreemanpr.co.uk. And if you look along the top, it says Small and Supercharged Mastermind, or feel free to drop me a DM for any more information. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. Take care.